So Andy Magoo sent me some kit for Zeus the Eagle to try. He sent me some different thickness braided jesses, so I always need 10-inch jesses for Muse jesses on the Goldie, because that way he won't straddle any of his blocks. Leash extender. I've just put a new Sampo swivel on recently, so I'll add that into this kit. Quite a bit of stretch on the leash, and it's quite thick, which is great. Just make sure it's long enough to do 2 decent Falconers knots. Stretch is probably going to be right in that case, to be honest, for the leash, because it does give a little bit of, a little bit of give. It's sent equally as thick jesses, but he's got small eyelets on his anklets, so the thinner jess is better, or rather, that's the leash extender. He's currently wearing Andy Smith braided kit, and that's been on there for years now, and that's an absolute testament to the stuff Andy's been making over the years. And he's always been my go-to because he does it for a living, so he tends to make the kit as and when you need it. But braided kit, why do we use it? Who makes it? Well, Andy Smith. Zoe Jones, always been an absolute perfectionist with the kit she makes. The only reason I, if you like, ever changed from Zoe's to Andy's kit was because in the breeding season, Zoe could make braid as and when she had time, and when it's a business, sometimes you just need kit sort of yesterday, and she recommended Andy, who I think was her protege back in the day. So Zoe Jones, Brithawk braiding, Andy Smith, had lots of stuff from both of those guys, and I've been kindly sent some stuff to try from Andy Magoo now, so we'll see how that goes on. It looks nicely made. So why use braid instead of leather? Because you can make your own leather kit quite easily. It's probably considered as a falconer's, must do, or you must be able to work with leather and make anklets and jesses and flying straps and stuff like that. I don't make a lot of kit now because I've used braid for 15 years. It lasts better than leather. It's more honest than leather. So a leather button on the button end of a jess, for instance, it fatigues with this motion, and it fatigues right under there, shut up, where you can't really see it, and you don't always notice, and then the buttons come off, and usually ready falcons, usually both buttons are obviously fatiguing more or less with the same wear and tear. So often, not always, if this button suddenly gives way, there's double the pressure on this one, which is equally fatigued. That one will often give way and snap. How do you get around that? Well, you change your leather equipment regularly, whether it looks too bad or not, and of course you keep it well oiled. Braid needs no sort of aftercare really. Give it a scrub when you scrub the bird's feet. It doesn't rot, and it's just more honest. It just, you can see it as it's wearing away or tiring. I'll show you what Zeus has got on in a second, and it's been on an Eagle for years, out in all weathers, as you might imagine. The only downside to braid, I think, is if you've got a bird that chews, often on braid they'll start pulling the strands out, and often people cite that as a reason they don't like using braid. The birds chew it. Unless you're incredibly unlucky, you'll see the day that your bird starts to chew. So number one thing, if it's just furred up a little bit, take the equipment off the bird, use a lighter and just run the flame under the chewed area, and it'll melt it back together. It will smooth it over. Now don't do that if it's chewed half the way through, but if it's just started picking, and this is when you want to get it. A new bird on braid, if it starts picking at it, don't leave it. That creates a real habit. Get it off the bird, melt it over. If it chews it again, get it off the bird, melt it over. If needs be, obviously you're going to have spares. I hope you're going to buy a couple of spares. Just swap over. That's the key with braid and birds chewing, is to stop them in their tracks. It wouldn't say chew a bit of thread out. It's like a scab. They want to keep picking at it. And the trick is to keep melting that over gently. Don't melt through, just a bit of heat, and it will melt that fibre back down. If you let them chew, it becomes something to do, and they'll pick at it, and the more they pick at it, the bigger the mess it will make, the more fun they'll enjoy picking it. So that's the key to chewing. And other than chewing, this stuff lasts way longer than leather. It's way stronger than leather. Leather now is really unreliable. Hopefully you've seen the video. If you want to get some leather in from Australia, John will export you some decent tanned kangaroo leather. It's hard to find good quality leather that's reliable over time. If you get a good sheet, it's going to last one falconer a long time, but equally, you can need to replace that sheet of leather and find it hard to get another good bit. So that's why I like using Braid, and I like using it in this system, as I'll show you again in a second. Here's your jesses. That's where normal people would put their swivel, but with Braid I use a leash extender. The swivel goes here. The jesses join to the leash extender, if you like, dry or fixed. The swivel goes here between the leash and the extender. When your normal bird baits, more or less baits, the normal swivel on the end of the jesses is just in the right place to keep pulling through the bird's tail feathers, and that swivel wrecks these tail feathers, pulling through as the bird baits. This way not only takes the swivel way past those trained feathers, so the swivel isn't interfering and wrecking those tail tips, it also, especially with an inline swivel and especially a loop leash, not a button leash, so traditional leashes made of a bit of rope, you've got a button on the end which can slide through the swivel. This method, inline swivel, loop leash, that can't happen. This is a way better way for a non-tangling tethering system. When I run a team of birds from home, 10 birds, I obsessed over weathering perches, muse perches and tethering systems, because if I was in London all day, there wasn't always someone at home. I needed to know my birds weren't sitting there all tangled up and stressed out. Braided jesses, braided leash extender, paracord or braided leash, inline swivel gives you, without a doubt, a superb tethering system. I've just put Zeus on a freestanding perch. He's very snatchy. He's just come down to flying weight and he's not doing anything with it. So I'm going to start doing some rope work as of this week now. A keen eagle that's not doing a lot, very frustrated eagle, and that's when you start to get aggression. A keen eagle that's working hard, even if exercising. A tired eagle, that means he can be a well-fed eagle because he's burning those calories, using up energy and pent-up energy. But we're talking about jesses, so excuse the fact he's only got one falconer's knot. We've just done that temporarily. If you leave your bird's jesses tethered, or your bird tethered for some length of time for any reason, one thing people say is the braid gets very tight and you can't undo it one-handed, and that's true. So in those instances, use two hands to just pull at the ears, nice try, at the ears of the jesses there to loosen them off. But obviously you won't be keeping your bird tethered for inordinate amounts of time without removing the jesses and flying them. So here's an inline sample swivel. Stop it, giving you some idea of the size of this kit. You know, I see people with huge swivels, really thick leather straps for their muse jesses for their eagles, and yet braid is super strong. It doesn't need to be super thick. So this stuff, it's a little bit worn, but not particularly. It's got a lot of mud on it from sort of being out weathering. But this stuff here is still pretty solid. And what you see is someone's getting the hump. Pack it up. Whoa. Is you can see anywhere on these. These have been used for years, really have. A little bit of wear, it's still solid. And soaking and cleaning these, then re-melting that end will actually keep these still working well for a spare set. But really important to make your jesses your braided jesses, really good tethering system is the jesses, the leash extender, and then an inline swivel that slips through as you separate the kit. It slips through this. When you remove this bird for flying, if you like, the leash, the swivel, and the leash extender stay as one piece. It all slips through the eyes of the jesses there. You're not dismantling the swivel like in a normal setup. Humpy. So we're going to change his kit and we'll have a look at the new stuff. Okay. There's a stuffed pheasant in here. So he's going to fidget now. Hopefully you can see this. Hey. Yeah, fucker. So when you've got a bird that's uptight, keen, needs to go out and fly, do some exercise. For my birds, it's better when hooded. My birds don't want to foot me in the hands, so having them hooded, they can just feel movement and hoping there's a bit of food available. Hurts, doesn't it? So these have been on quite a long time now. Because Zeus Malt's tethered, but he's tethered on his zip line, so he gets to fly sort of 30 metres, 25 metres maybe every day. So there we are, all in one piece. And then of course, we'd be taking out these muse jesses when we go hunting. Because yes, eagles can get caught in trees, believe it or not, quite easily on just that. Unbelievably so. So we take those out, and now we can swing that foot anywhere. For him, leather flying straps. Make my own, just simple leather flying straps. Some of our birds that are in aviaries, free lofted, and they're flying from their aviaries, they have either braided permanent jesses on, permanent fly straps, with a hole, tiny hole for a clip swivel, should we need to tether them or we do maintenance. Or they will have leather jesses, so I'm not against leather, don't get me wrong. But this stuff just makes for such a superb tethering system. It's going on because you're going to see that pheasant and cause me a riot. So, new jesses. I think I should have done some exercise with him first. Old, out with the old, in with the new. And there we have some very different jesses compared to what this guy's had on him for quite some time now. So we'll see how they go. They feel strong, they feel good, different material. So how to assemble them? There's the eye in the end of your, stop it, in the end of your leash extender. It goes over both jesses at the same time, thus, and then you've got those two muse jesses together still. There's the hole. The end of the leash, you can pause and play, go through both at the same, I can't see, through both at the same time, and you're pulling not only the leash, but also your inline swivel. Just scale it down for your falcons and your hawks. Your inline swivel through the holes in your jesses, and that's the way to assemble them, not other ways. Now when you want to come apart, you just feed it through like this and back out again. Easier said than done if you haven't done it for very many weeks. Otherwise, it's as easy as anything in falconry. If it's something you've not done, this will seem all fiddly, and you sort of think, what am I doing? You'll get it all wrong because you didn't watch this video quite right the first time. Let's see how we go. A lovely system, still swivels, really doesn't tangle, and you're not having massive long jesses that are going to straddle blocks and things. I never do. Do as I say, not what I do. Always tie on to your D-ring in case something should happen. If your bird is lost with its tethering system, it's going to die a pretty bad death. So always use a D-ring to loosely tie on. It doesn't have to be your best ever falconer's knot, but to tie on to your glove for sure. There's nothing there. I'm not edible. It's now dark outside. We'll get you some grub. Just about to see still.